Your foot slips at the towel rail, your heart's pounding. But here's what nobody tells you. That wasn't random. If that strong a man couldn't catch himself, could you? Stay. One of these exercises could change that. I'm Atlas Reed, still standing after 60. Subscribe. You belong here. Point 1. Most men over 60 who start training for balance are training the wrong thing. They add weight to the bar, add miles to the walk, and assume the rest takes care of itself. Think of it like this. A car can have a brand new engine and still slide off the road on ice because horsepower was never the problem. Traction was. Most men over 60 have the engine. Almost none have trained the traction. The first exercise fixes that, and it's the simplest one here, the single leg stance. Stand near a counter for safety, lift foot a few inches off the floor, and hold it. No gripping unless you need to. 10 seconds is the number tied to a meaningfully lower fall risk in the research. Most men, the first time they try it, don't come close. So if strength doesn't train balance, what does? That's the part almost nobody explains. Point 2. Balance doesn't fail all at once. It fails one system at a time, quietly, vision, the inner ear, the muscles, until one ordinary afternoon asks for more than what's left. Your inner ear can lose function for years before you ever notice, because your eyes and legs quietly cover for it, until, on uneven ground, they can't cover fast enough. There's research behind every part of this, so nobody has to take it on faith. That quiet decline is exactly why the second exercise exists, the heel-to-toe walk. Find a hallway, put one foot directly in front of the other so the heel touches the toe, and walk 10 to 15 feet in a straight line. It looks too simple to matter. It isn't. It directly retrains the vestibular and proprioceptive systems that quietly cover for each other until they can't. Would you feel shorted paying real money just to learn those two exercises? Honestly, probably not. That's the bar every minute here has to clear. But neither solves the moment that scares most men most, getting back up. Point 3. Here's a number that doesn't get talked about enough. In one landmark study, nearly half of older adults who fell without serious injury couldn't get back up without help. Not from weakness, but because nobody had ever trained the movement of going from floor to standing, under control, without panic. That's why the third exercise matters most, the sit to stand, done deliberately. Sit toward the front of a sturdy chair, cross your arms over your chest, stand up without using your hands, then sit back down with control, not a drop. 12 to 19 reps in 30 seconds is the typical range researchers use for men in their 60s and early 70s. This is the kind of thing a physical therapist teaches after a fall. Here it is, before one. Practicing this daily is exactly the get up and recover sequence that's still standing after 60. The complete independent system walks through. It's linked in the description. If you're watching on TV, there's a QR code on screen now. Scan it, and it'll take you straight there. Because getting up off the floor under control isn't a nice to have for later. It's the difference between a bad afternoon and a long lie on the floor waiting for someone to notice you're missing. Point 4. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable, and I'd rather tell you than let you find out the hard way. In one study, tracking over 19,000 adults, a slow walking pace was linked to a 63% higher risk of dementia. Weak grip strength, the same study, 43% higher. Not because weak hands cause memory loss, but because both are early signals your nervous system is already losing ground in ways that show up in the body before they show up anywhere else. That's what exercises 4 and 5 interrupt. Standing hip abduction, hold the counter, lift one leg straight out to the side and lower it slowly 10 times per leg, rebuilds the hip stability that keeps your pelvis from dropping with every step, where a lot of shuffling starts. Marching in place with a real deliberate arm drive, knees up, opposite arms swinging, retrains the coordination between your brain and your legs that a slow, careful walk never touches. Here's what I won't tell you yet. Which of these 5 actually matters most when the other 4 aren't enough? That answer's coming. But first, find out something about yourself right now before I say another word. Stay right where you're sitting. Cross your arms over your chest and stand up from your chair without using your hands. Do it now if you can. I'll wait. Count how many times you can repeat that in 30 seconds. Real pace. 12 to 19 is the typical range for a man in his 60s or 70s. If you landed under that, that's not a verdict. It's the first honest number you've had on this in years, because it's not something checked at a normal physical. Not because it doesn't matter, because nobody asks. Now, try the single leg stand from earlier, timing it on your phone. 10 seconds is the number tied to real risk reduction. Whatever number you got, that's your starting point, not your ceiling. Point 5, the sixth exercise ties everything together, and it's the one most men skip because it looks the least like exercise, the weight shift. Standing feet hip-width apart, slowly shift your weight fully onto one foot, hold for a few seconds, then shift to the other. A slow-motion version of Tai Chi. Structured programs built around this kind of controlled weight transfer have been linked to fall reductions as high as 58% in clinical trials, higher than almost anything else on this list. Here's why. Every exercise before this one trains a piece, a muscle, a system, a single movement. The weight shift asks your vestibular system, your vision, your proprioception, and your leg strength to work together in real time, the exact way they have to on a wet sidewalk or an uneven curb. It's not the flashiest exercise you'll ever do. It might be the one that matters most. 6 exercises, 5 minutes, most of them a few times a week. No equipment, no gym. What they require is doing them before the floor asks the question for you. Priority has to shift here. The ground under you comes before everything else you're training for, because none of the rest matters if a bad step takes it away in one afternoon. A man who does these 6 exercises consistently isn't training to avoid getting old. He's training to stay the man his family already counts on, the one who gets down on the floor with a grandchild and back up without a second thought, who carries his own bags, who doesn't need to be caught. That's the real finish line. Not a stronger man on paper, but a man whose body simply doesn't hesitate when it matters. These 6 exercises retrain systems that quietly went untrained for decades. But they're a start, not the whole map, because staying independent past 60 isn't 6 exercises done occasionally. It's knowing which piece to work on in what order as your body's weak points change year to year. That's the gap between doing some balance work and closing your personal risk down to nearly nothing. Still standing after 60, the complete independence system takes what you just learned and turns it into that exact progression. It's linked in the description, and if you're watching on TV, scan the QR code on screen now. Here's the one honest reason to start this week instead of next month. Balance decline doesn't wait for a convenient time, and every month untrained is a month those same systems get harder to retrain. That's not urgency for its own sake. It's just how the body works. If this is the kind of training intelligence you want every week, subscribe. We put out videos weekly, and everyone is built for men serious about staying independent. I'm Atlas Reed. Keep doing the work.